Well, this summit coming ahead of Ukrainian President Zelensky's trip to the U.S. next week, where he's expected to address the United Nations on Wednesday and then present his victory plan for the war with Russia to Biden on Thursday. To a key figure now from one of Ukraine's biggest allies and neighbor, Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski joins me now. Good to see you, Minister. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. You were once a foreign correspondent, so you covered wars for a living. You're well prepared to give us an assessment of how that war is going. What's the latest in the war between Ukraine and Russia?
Yes, I was in Afghanistan and Angola in the 1980s. And I also visited the front lines in Ukraine in my previous capacity as member of the European Parliament. And Ukraine won the Battle of the Black Sea, remarkable for a country with no navy. Ukraine is now exporting its grain, its foodstuffs to the international markets at pre-war levels. And on land, Russia is paying a huge price in tens of thousands of dead for incremental gains. And these deep strikes into Russia by indigenous Ukrainian drones and missiles hitting ammunition depots hundreds of kilometers from Ukrainian borders are also very impressive.
Well, with all of those casualties, and I heard that long ago Russia surpassed the casualty figure that they had in Afghanistan. That loss equaled the end of the Soviet Union in many people's minds. So how much longer can Putin put up with these losses without getting serious political feedback inside Russia?
It's a very good question. It is estimated that the Soviet Union lost about 13,000 dead over a decade in Afghanistan. And in Ukraine, Russia seems to have lost at least 100,000 dead already. But remember that Putin's Russia is more repressive than Brezhnev's Soviet Union. In those days, the committees of soldiers' mothers in the Soviet Union were a factor in Soviet politics. Now they're all banned. And the question is, as you say, where is Russia's pain level? But remember, the Russians are sending to the front thousands of prisoners, people from national minorities, people from the countryside. Putin is facing constraints. He does not want to mobilize from Moscow and St. Petersburg. He's afraid of those large cities.
He's using human beings as cannon fodder is what's happening. It's a horrible thing. But I'm just wondering, you were also, by the way, a student activist during Poland's wonderfully heroic struggle against the old Soviet Union. Is that what Putin is trying to, is that his goal, is to bring back the old Soviet Union, which of course would put Poland in threat as well as the rest of Eastern Europe?
Yes, I think that's his ideological fear, that if Ukraine becomes a successful pro-Western democracy and its people live in a system freer of corruption and where ordinary people have a say, then of course the Russians might want the same, and that's a mortal threat to Putinism, to the Russian kleptocracy.
You may not want to go here, and I can respect that because you're a foreigner on U.S. soil, but right now. But when you look at the United States, a lot of Americans are concerned about leadership in the United States, wondering whether we have enough leadership. Do you sense that the U.S. has kind of lost its step on foreign policy because of questions about whether President Biden is with it enough?
We, of course, don't take sides, but we are very grateful to the United States and to President Biden for sustaining President Zelensky and Ukraine's resistance against Russian aggression. Actually, Europe is doing more, and we also give credit where credit is due. The first javelins were sent to Ukraine by President Trump. President Trump was right to call on Europe to spend more on defense. Poland is spending 4.3% of its GDP on defense this year, going on to 4.7% next year. We were also grateful to President Trump for imposing sanctions on the Nord Stream pipeline. So we try to keep in touch with both sides of the aisle. I'm going to Michigan next week to thank the Polish community there for their steadfast support for NATO.
Yeah. No, Poland has really stood up as unfortunately not all European nations have in this struggle. Thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Foreign Minister. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.